Okay, good evening. There's normally a countdown, but apparently StreamYard doesn't want me to do a countdown. So pretend it was a 30-second countdown there. And hello and welcome to the Mystery Movie Night podcast. I am Deleted Scenes, human being American and YouTube Ronin. I'd like to welcome you all to tonight's show. My guests are waiting backstage, so I'm going to go ahead and bring them out now. Wilkie's Movies and Music. Corey, good to see you, sir.
Thank you very much for having me back on. I appreciate it.
Right on. Sin's Corner. The reason why I know you're all really here.
Oh my gosh. Here we go.
She ran me over with a car earlier today.
More violent.
It was just.
You're going to start giving me ideas, Deleted. You better be careful.
Geez, I live in fear. Paul from Off Cover.
Well, hello there in Radio Land. Welcome to our podcast.
And of course, well, thank you for being here. And of course, Kyle Corwith he's got a chance to join. He wasn't with us the last time. Gang is all here this week. So, okay. Here's what happened, folks. Half of our crew saw one movie, half saw another, and I didn't see any because there wasn't a mystery night. So I made up my own mystery night, and you'll be hearing about those this evening. I do want to say hello to everyone who is in the chat with us. Let's see. Our pal Nicholas Sellers is in the house. Scroll down. A name I'm seeing for the first time, Mama Blu-ray. Welcome.
Hi, Bonnie.
I wondered if someone you knew.
Welcome. And Logical Spark. Good to see you, sir. All right. Huck's Pop Culture Cafe.
What's going on, Huck?
And Megan the Texan.
Woo!
Right on. Okay. So like I said, we all saw different movies this week.
Yep.
So we're just going to jump into a movie that I know both Sin and I saw this week. And that's The Gorge, the Apple TV film with Miles Teller, Anya Taylor-Joy, and Sigourney Weaver. Two snipers on both sides of a gorge that may or may not be the doorway to hell. So, all right.
Kind of part mystery. Enigma loves this movie. Absolutely loves it. He sent me something via email, which I'm sorry, Enigma, I haven't read yet because I've been pretty busy. But yeah, he's more in love with this movie than I am. But Enigma's like best movie. I have to disagree with you, sir.
Well, now I'm curious. Enigma, what's your short comment review of The Gorge?
Tell us your thoughts.
That's it, I guess. Best movie ever.
Well, he posted that up before you asked your question. He might be writing a whole thesis for us as we speak.
I anticipated his comment.
I do want to see this one pretty badly.
Yeah, we won't spoil it for you.
Yeah, but so Deleted sent people. I've seen it, so I can I can chime in as well.
Okay.
I'd like to, but not yet. I want to hear.
Okay. So I'll just go ahead and get my thoughts out of the way. This was one of my most anticipated. It just looked interesting, and I did enjoy it overall, but I felt like the first half of it was much stronger. I liked the scenes of them getting to know each other across the gorge and the way they would communicate with each other. But once the second half happened and it turned into almost like a Resident Evil type of movie, that's what it felt like, something similar. I don't feel like that part held up as much. Unfortunately. So,
but you want to know what it was? It was less Resident Evil for me and more Annihilation.
Oh yeah, okay. I can see that. You're right. That's probably more accurate. I was just trying to think of something similar-ish in nature. But yeah, that makes sense. But the mystery of what was going on, it's not like it's anything that hasn't been done. It was a very similar. It just kind of felt. And Sigourney Weaver was so underutilized for me. I just felt like, well, she's just there because it's her. But
she's basically playing the same character she was in Cabin in the Woods.
Ding, ding, ding.
I forgot she was in there.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Cabin in the Woods in forever. Totally forgot she was in that movie.
Right on point, deleted.
Okay.
Yeah. I was thinking the exact same thing.
Okay. As for myself, I was surprised in how touched I was by the romance part of it, which is really most of the first half. I mean,
I feel that worked pretty well for me.
Chemistry galore. Holy crap. Yeah. I was like, I want to see these two in a romantic drama, same director, get Derrickson to direct that too. Why not? And I was like, the whole movie could have just been these two having this romance and I would have been fine, and then when the, you get to the second half of the movie and all of the,
it's a survival film after that.
Doom Annihilation stuff starts happening. Not Doom Annihilation, Doom and Annihilation. I want to clarify, there is a movie called Doom Annihilation, and it is fucking terrible. But that's why we haven't had a Doom movie in 15 years. But well, there was the straight to video one too that wasn't good. Yeah, but Enigma's agreeing with me on that. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I could see these two in another film. I like the references that get thrown in. I mean, obviously, when you look at the design, Annihilation was definitely in mind. I like the references to Whiplash and Queen's Gambit that got thrown in.
Yeah, I missed that because I never saw either of those movies. I mean,
that's a little bit of a spoiler, but not too big.
Okay.
I do want to say that, so I acknowledge there's some chemistry there. However, I do think that Anya Taylor-Joy is miscast in that role because of her physicality. It doesn't.
She's so tiny.
It's her. She's frail in a way. She's supposed to be picking up rifles, and I could just sense the foam nature of the props that she was picking up because her physique was not built up in a way that it needed to be. And when you look at service women in the military, they have some bulk to them. They have to, and she's like a twig running around.
She's very tiny.
And it does not fit in that role. And it's the same criticism or similar criticism that I had for her as Furiosa. Her physique does not match up with Charlize Theron's. The wide shoulders of Theron, and then you have more of a slender build for Taylor-Joy. It doesn't match for Furiosa. And then with here, she's supposed to be this military, excellent, marksman, and you're static in that place, but you still need to have a body that can handle firearms and carry them. And these are bulky firearms.
What's that, Paul?
Rifles are pretty damn heavy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And she's it's not really a spoiler, but she runs around with a long gun like it's a super soaker, not filled with water.
It's styrofoam, Kyle.
So that's a big criticism, probably the biggest flaw, aside from the second act. I do think the first act is really strong script-wise.
Yeah.
And I really do like that. And it reminded me of Passengers a bit.
Oh.
Yeah, so you'll appreciate it, Paul.
Okay.
You'll appreciate it. Yeah.
Watching it tomorrow night.
Yeah, there you go. And then the second half does jump off a cliff.
Hell yeah, literally.
Yep. And it just it goes all out CGI fest action, shooty, and all that, which I'm not a big fan of. They do have some designs on the creatures that were pretty fucking cool. Actually, there's a scene in I won't go through. It's a little bit John Carpenter, but a little bit. Who's it? I'm thinking of the author that inspired some of the Batman designs.
Is it a Miller guy? Someone named Miller?
No, the author.
McFarlane?
Oh, the author.
Oh, author.
Todd McFarlane?
No.
No, McFarlane's not an author, though.
Okay, moving on from it. I get the reference later. But there's some cool designs of the creatures, and obviously the parallel to Annihilation is very apparent. But it does go bombastic to a point where it kind of betrays the first act in a way. And and it's also a movie that is surprising that Scott Derrickson directed it. I think he hasn't done this type of film since The Day the Earth Stood Still, 15 plus years ago?
Okay.
Yeah.
20.
And it does feel as though he did this for a paycheck, because it's not really in his wheelhouse. He really excels in horror. His best films are Black Phone, Exorcism of Emily Rose, and Sinister. Those are kind of smaller films, $15 million, $20 million budgets. And this is, 70 to 100 million? And I think he was strapped down by the script, because I believe he did not write that. He did not write The Gorge, right?
I forgot who did, but I think I know.
Zach Dean,
yeah,
who wrote Tomorrow War.
Yeah, he wrote the Tomorrow War.
Yeah,
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, it feels common denominator, like appeal to everybody type of script. And I could sense that this is not the script. This is not written by Scott Derrickson, because he has a certain way that he writes, and he kind of betrayed his own sensibility. I listened to an interview that he did with Kevin Smith. I still have it in my archives and on my phone, and I listened to it recently by sheer coincidence, because he's such an interesting guy to listen to. And he said ultimately, I think, because he directed a movie, The Day the Earth Stood Still, he wasn't the sole writer. He was picking up a script that was already existing and directing it for a paycheck. He even admitted that, because he needed to pay his mortgage. He said, after that experience, I realized that I need to believe in the script. I need to write these myself, and I need to be an author on it, or co-write it at least. And this is an example of, okay, he probably did this for the money, and he probably liked the script, right? But I get a sense that he did this for different reasons other than whole artistic integrity and this is my thing type of situation.
Maybe something to fill the void before the Black Phone 2.
Yeah.
Which comes out later.
Keep up his momentum for his career. I get it. Yeah. And I think he does a good job with in the script and with his direction when it comes to the first half.
Yeah, I agree. I really enjoyed the first half.
The two characters.
Yeah.
Because I do appreciate those types of films, those intimate, small scale films in the way of characters where you have a tight focus on character. Meanwhile, it's on this large canvas, and Passengers to me is the one that excels most recently of a film that did it so excellently. This is not as strong as that, but it has elements or some kind of, it harkens to that essence in a way. Anyone else have thoughts on the Gorge?
I did a whole review of it. I guess I was just kind of hoping that the second half would have held up a little more, and I felt I didn't feel fulfilled when it was done. I was like, okay, that was fun. I wouldn't have mind watching it in the theater, but it just didn't carry. Like it's got started off really strong for me, and I was totally digging it. And then when the whole survival part happened, I was just like,
Can I ask you
I
guys?
was underwhelmed.
So can I ask a question? Did you guys feel, and I guess Kyle, I'd love to hear your opinion about this. Like, did it feel like content or cinema?
The first half cinema, the second content.
Ooh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Yeah.
And the ending, without giving away spoilers or specifics, but you'll get a sense of what I mean. I'm not kidding you. The ending was a ripoff / map out, almost exactly the same way as Bourne Identity ended.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Visually speaking,
interesting.
beat wise,
Mm-hmm.
literally the last shot is the same camera move and location-esque situation as the end of Bourne Identity.
Yeah,
Oh.
I do admit I did catch
Definitely
that.
was getting that feel.
Yeah. I mean, it didn't ruin the movie for me or anything. If I had seen this on the big screen, I don't think I would have felt I wasted my time with it in any way.
Yeah, same.
It's not the best movie ever made. It's what it is. It's it is what it is. It's this romance for the first half, and then express elevator to hell, and for the second half, and then this kind of twonky third act. I granted,
Twonky. Interesting word.
Yeah,
I like that
I don't know
word.
if I know that
it's
word.
a little.
I'll look that up.
Yeah, because and it's this thing that a lot of screenwriters do these days that I wish they would stop with is the fourth act. It's like there is a point in this movie where it could logically end, and then it keeps going for another 20 minutes. I mean, it didn't bother me. I get because he did the same thing with Tomorrow War. I get it. That's just this writer's style. But screenwriters in Hollywood have picked up some bad habits in the last few years that I would wish they would stop. And the fourth act is one of they get it from Cameron. Stop trying to be James Cameron. Please, for the love of God, stop trying to be James Cameron.
But even James Cameron isn't James Cameron anymore.
No,
it's true.
That's unfortunate.
That makes me sad. I agree with everything you said, Sean. Yeah.
Yeah, it could. It could have been much worse. I was fine with it. Yeah.
Is there a comment down in there by Megan? Because she had some thoughts while we were watching
maybe on
it.
deleted side. Hey, Sashi.
Well, and
okay,
deleted. You were answering a question. It came to my mind that I wanted to ask all that saw this one was basically if you paid for a ticket and went to the theater to watch this, would you have been disappointed, or did you think that its place was streaming at home?
I would have preferred to watch it on the big screen.
Okay.
Personally, but that's the way I feel about a lot of films.
Yeah.
Because I love the experience so much.
If it was a matinee, I don't think I would have had a problem with it.
So a cheaper price. You wouldn't pay a full price ticket for it.
Well, I wouldn't want to pay a full price ticket for most movies. That's the thing.
Yeah.
But I certainly don't feel like I wasted my time watching it.
I wasn't angry at it like I was with Love Hurts. I was pissed when I got done with Love Hurts. That movie sucks.
I didn't.
Don't tell me because I still haven't seen it.
Sucks.
Okay.
That one stream where you mentioned that one, and I'm like, oh, I still want to see that, and you're like, like oh wow, you didn't hide your no so poker
angry.
face on that one.
I was I'm sorry. When I really hate something, I just cannot hold back.
It came straight out of
Joker 2.
I appreciate
I love
that.
that review because
exactly.
Sin, you wasted no time on Love Hurts. You just dove in there. It reminded me of
took the knife.
It reminded me of Jeremy John's review of Assassin's Creed, where he's like
I love Jeremy Johns.
He's like standing there for about 10 seconds, and he just goes, "Fuck."
Yeah. Can identify completely.
Okay. Megan, I'm trying to find your statement here in the chat. I'm not seeing it. I'm sorry. If you could put it back up, I'll go
it
back.
through Kyle's?
The chat kind of jumped on me here, so all right, let me just go back to the beginning here.
Right?
Sorry, what's that?
The chat is from everybody's stream, right?
Yeah, he should be able to see everyone who comes through.
Like even at like any comments left on mine, you should be able to see.
Should be able to.
Yeah, he should be.
Okay, I missed it.
I don't see it either.
I'll scroll through it. I do want to say hello to some people who have joined us. Eli Cortez.
Hey, Eli.
Video Man and Gizmo.
Gizmo.
Chrissy, the film nerd.
Hey, Chris.
Caveman Movies and more.
That's Mr. Guy right there. Sorry, I'll try to keep my comments to a minimum.
It's okay.
No. That's great. That's fine. The Bird Woman of YouTube, Connie Cleary. Lost in the Reel is with us. And YouTube, this is the handle the guy's using. I'm just going to say it, but it's unplugged.
Unplugged. Thanks for jumping in here, Unplugged. I appreciate you jumping in here.
He's one of your guys.
Yep. We go by Unplugged there, but great person, great contributor, and super nice person.
John Doe Juggalos joined us. Good evening, sir.
Hey, Jeff.
Please check out his channel.
That's a good handle because so many people everywhere have a stick up their ass.
Oh, they do. This is true. This is true.
So I see Megan's comment on Paul's post for the live stream.
Okay.
It's there. I could read it out. She just said
Please.
One comment, which was kind of a hot take a little bit, aside from a few other comments about Anya. She did say, though, she said, one props for Brie Larson is that she gets in shape for her roles.
I saw that come through.
Okay, it is in there? All right. I'm looking at the
Okay.
stream on my phone, so that's a
Brie
very fair
Larson
point.
was also playing a superhero with
I
supernatural
with the kind of
powers,
shit
so.
that Anya Taylor-Joy is doing in the Gorge, you might as well be a superhero.
Well, not quite on up there with Captain Marvel, but still.
Sure.
No, I get it.
Not
I
flying into
get your point,
space.
but I would rather see Anya Taylor-Joy in anything as opposed to Brie Larson, but I get your point.
I see Megan's other comment. Says Miles was too philosophical and Anya looks like she can't handle guns or recoil. She also really wants Miles right after noticing him, ?
Oh, and she's very all about herself. She gives is that a spoiler if I say why she contacts him? Sim, what do you think? Deleted.
Well,
if I say what prompts the communication? Anyway,
I don't remember
fine.
exactly what prompted the initial communication. I know something else comes up later pertaining to
Because
a
it's
personal life.
Yeah.
It's her birthday.
Oh, it's her birthday. That's right.
Yeah.
It's her birthday.
And she said, I'm going to do whatever the hell I want.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, that's pretty not professional. You're told not to. And you frivolously contact him. Is that you give a little bit of a better reason than maybe if she had been drinking a lot, which she hadn't really been. Maybe they do have some vodka near potato vodka, which is actually a really good vodka. Potato vodka.
His is potato vodka.
Smooth,
hers was, I don't know what hers was.
Potato vodka is very smooth. It's a lot smoother than grain vodka.
Yep.
Yeah.
I know.
You know. Like wine.
Yeah.
Anyway, a little tangent. So the Gorge has it reminded me, now that I think about it, a little bit of The Island. The Island, Michael Bay's The Island, where it's an entirely different movie at the beginning. It's more intimate, and then it becomes a bombastic, ridiculous, shoot 'em up, explosions type of film. You know? It's like two movies smashed together.
I had fun with that movie though too, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's basically the Clonus horror with explosions. That's all it is. But it's fun. And welcome to Horror Cat Dad. She was a hero in New Mutants. Yeah, she was about the only thing in New Mutants that I liked.
Hey, Larry.
Hello, Janetter's Network. Let's see. A few other people have joined us. I don't want to leave anybody out. Our man from the future, Sashi, of course. All right. So have we?
Whose sirens are those?
We're good.
I don't know. Paul's maybe.
It's not me
He's so
for
used
once.
to it.
I'm out in the sticks. There's no sirens around
Paul's.
me.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh yeah.
Oh shit, you're NYC, so yeah.
Everyday thing, yeah.
It's been happening for the past 5 years.
You'll hear a cow moo on my
ambulance.
side before an ambulance or a sirens of a.
Yeah, that's definitely an ambulance, and probably some asshole is not letting them go.
Oh, blocking the lanes.
Yeah, oh god, yeah, all the time. So I used to live like right by Lenox Hill Hospital, and when I was trying to finish Breaking Bad, because I was like doing like 5, 6, 7 episodes a night, binging it, some asshole just parked in front, and an ambulance was basically just trying to get 100 feet to the hospital entrance. And I'm like, okay, I guess I can't find out what happens in this episode, but it went on for like 20 minutes.
Oh, jeez.
Sirens. You just get used to them? You don't even hear them anymore?
I mean, I wish I could get used to them.
It's white noise now.
It's so quiet in my mom's house. Like, I don't even it's refreshing.
All right. It says some plug says it's 12:40 in the UK.
Yep, over in the UK.
Right on.
Pulling all nighter there.
Yeah, it's not that late. It's
time for one more movie. Come on.
It's late.
No, we got
it's
time.
not
We got time.
early. You see what I mean? You're in that in between space.
You still can get an hour or two of sleep in.
Yeah.
Right on. All right. Well, speaking of another movie, we've got another one to talk about. And Sin and Corey, you're going to take over on this one.
Okay, so
This
we
is-
both saw The Unbreakable Boy, which is based on a true story, written by the father of the son in this story. It's about a boy who has brittle bone disease, and also he's autistic. And it stars Zachary Levi, and I cannot remember the name of the girl who played the wife, Megan Faye or something. I can't remember. But I feel like in a lot of ways it's a faith-based movie, but it didn't feel like it was a heavy-handed faith-based movie. I felt like it was handled pretty well, respectfully, but not overly goopy and mushy and cringe and cliche, which I'm not a huge fan of faith-based films. The latest one I saw was Homestead, and I did not feel like they handled the material very well at all. But The Best Christmas Pageant Ever was done right. Anyway, this film is in large part about the father's struggles just the family as a whole, but it does kind of center around the father's issues because he's an alcoholic. It's kind of like, I guess, his way of self-medicating because there's a lot of challenges that come with raising this child. The physical issues with his bones, but then also they finally realize he's autistic. And so just navigating his world, trying to figure out how to be able to help him, in the best way they can. So I enjoyed it. It was pretty touching in parts. I don't feel like it was a waste of my time. It's not something that I was actually gonna go see. So when it showed that that's what it was, I was like, I really wish I was watching the movie Paul and Kyle's are seeing.
I want a rated R movie. Come on.
I was like, I really would rather a rated R movie, but I liked it. I thought it was good, and it's a decent family friendly film.
Yes.
They do touch on serious issues like the alcoholism.
Yep.
And a fractured family, because it definitely causes some issues, and it's just. But the one scene, there is this scene. I know, he does, and I thought he actually did really good in here, Sean. I thought he was pretty good in the role. But interestingly, they filmed this movie back in 2020.
Yeah, it was shelved for a while, I think.
It was. Yeah, it was. But
how does it compare to another mystery movie that we all saw, Ezra?
So I was reminded of that because the kid that played Ezra, I feel like Ezra, wow, it's a bit similar because it is in large part about the relationship between father and son, and the father trying to do the best he can for his son and just feeling like he's failing at everything. So kind of similar, but this movie is more, it's got the sort of the undertones of faith-based going on, though it's not like bleh, it's not like that at all. It's handled in a, there's this one scene where he's talking to, who's his imaginary friend?
Oh gosh, that is hilarious. Are you talking about the camping trip? Oh God, I laughed out loud.
So I was like, that was really funny.
Because I was like, are they going here with this?
It was like, oh really? Are they really gonna this? I'm not sure that this will work. And then it was the way it ended up. So I laughed out loud.
I know what you're talking about.
That was a true LOL moment for me. So I appreciate that they didn't go there.
I appreciate that they mixed faith in with it, but I agree with you that they don't go overhanded with it because I mean heavy-handed with it because there's sometimes where that can turn off casual viewers from that. But they touch on, I mean, that was based on that book, that family, and that was truly something that helped him get through that tough situation was that him finding his faith and getting through that. So I think they definitely needed to bring that in there. But yes, there was some comedic ways that they brought that in there because that scene at that when they're on the camping trip, I think you're talking about.
Oh, yes, that is the one. It was really, I wasn't expecting.
Because I was like, and then it had a good laugh moment, but it was serious. It makes you think about it, but then it brings some laughs in with it too. Megan. I'm gonna pronounce the last name wrong, but I was just looking it up. I couldn't remember, but it's Fahy.
Yeah, that's why I wasn't sure how to pronounce it.
Yeah.
Okay.
She was actually in a trailer right before the movie too for Drop.
Oh, is that her in Drop?
That's her. I believe that's her.
Drop almost made my list of most anticipated. That looks interesting.
So I believe she's the main actress in that one. Because I was looking it up, I was like, I couldn't believe that. Anyway, very different roles. But so I did not see Ezra that you were talking about, but it gave me some feels. I know it's different, but it gave me some feels of Wonder.
Okay, I haven't seen. Isn't it kind of connected with Wonder? I thought I heard it was in the same universe. I can't remember in the opening credits or in trailers if it's like from the producers of or some of the writers of, or like something. There's some type of loose association, at least to Wonder. But it gave me some of those feels. It's narrated by the boy too.
Yes,
and you start off with it. Basically, the opening scene is the hook because it starts off with there's this lead up to something that's going to happen, and he just indicates this was the day everything broke, and you're like, holy crap, what the heck? And then he goes back and it says goes like flashback, and then they lead up to the day everything broke, but then there's a bit more after that because that's where the rest of the story comes into play.
So there's something with some of these movies where it tugged at my heartstrings. I'll admit that. So Paul, you were kind of saying with another movie where you were just like, oh, shut up, whatever. I had some tears with it. There was some.
I'm not crying. You are.
Yeah, you are. I got something in my eye. Leave me alone. There was a few of those moments.
It's my allergies.
Yeah, right.
So at the beginning of our movie, I was like, okay, all right. I think I could fake it up. My girlfriend's sitting next to me, but at the end, I was like going like this.
Aww.
Yeah.
But I had some moments through there too. But what was interesting though, I went back after I watched it, and there was a few people posting some videos on this just based off the trailer and some other things, and there were some pretty harsh criticisms.
Yeah, I was reading some people annoyed that it didn't focus more on the child.
Correct. Yep, that's exactly where I was going to go with. That they were like, oh, you're focusing on the family and their struggle, and that they're doing good for this boy, but not focusing on the boy. And I'm not pulling away from that, but I was like, I definitely did not see that. But this is also Uncharted areas for me. Like, this is not something I have ever had to deal with in my own life or my family's, like dealing with autism or, some of these other, with that, I can't remember what.
Something.
The brittle bone.
Yeah.
Like would break bones.
No, not
really
osteoporosis. It's brittle bone disease. Like you can just break your bone by tripping or something. You just have a terrible fracture. This kid suffered like 40-some plus fractures in his life. He broke his ribs when he was born.
And they didn't realize it. So like just him being born, and they were like, why is he crying so much and everything? And it was basically he had broken ribs from the delivery. So that was interesting to hear that side of it. And that's something I didn't come up with. I just would not have thought of that side of it.
Me either. I filmed a review for this actually right before shortly before we went live. And I do touch on that. And the thought that I shared in my review was, so, people are complaining, you're not showing it about him. But here's the thing. When you have someone like him, it's not just affecting him. It is affecting everyone around him. The entire family was affected by his situation. So I appreciate that they showed the struggles, because I think this is something that most people would have a hard time with. It's very challenging and scary. Very scary.
Question for you guys, because I'm going home to visit my mom, and basically the only movie that I want to see in her theater, because they have like 50 showings of Captain America, is Unbreakable Boy. Like, would this be a good movie to see? Okay.
Yeah, it's very family friendly, even though they deal with kind of dark subject matter like alcoholism and fracturing of
separation.
A family.
Yeah.
Well, my mom's a former psychologist, so I think that, and she dealt with drug addicts, so I think
it's very family friendly. There were moments I mentioned in my review where it sort of treads in the territory of being just a skosh sappy sometimes, but it pulls back from that, so it's not overly much. It's not like sappy to the point that I was getting chills that it was so sappy. Like when something's so bad you get chills. That happens to me. It's like so cringe. It's like my skin is cringing. It didn't get that far into it for me.
And I'm glad you mentioned it's got faith flavor.
Yes, it definitely does.
My mom's pretty religious, so I think she might like that.
I think she will.
Should we see Conclave or Unbreakable Boy?
Ooh, she might feel some offense with Conclave.
I was like, those are they're so different.
Very
now, I was like, I don't know what to watch.
Do you want to feel good after the movie, or
do you want to be pissed off? So Conclave was I really enjoyed Conclave up until the end, which I knew what the end was going to be. And I've mentioned in my review, if this had been a movie made 15, 20, 30 years ago, I probably wouldn't have had as much of an issue with the ending as I did, because of the time we're living in right now. But Conclave I think it's worth a watch, but it definitely is going to, if she's super religious, especially if she's Catholic, it might really get under her skin. And I can see why.
So. Good to know. Good to know. Unbreakable Boy it is.
But that's
I had Conclave in my top 10 this year. And I said, you want to have the best movie experience of the year? Watch Conclave with a Catholic. You've got two movies going on at once.
Well, I mean, I was just captivated by the fact that they made a story about a conclave freaking interesting and on the edge of your seat almost.
Yeah. Well, they do. It's
kind of a mystery thriller, really.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
But I will throw out on The Unbreakable Boy, you do not have to be religious to enjoy this movie. I would say they do not lay it on really heavy, which I wouldn't mind if that part of it does not bother me whatsoever. But they do. I mean, that was the real life story of it, and that was something that they pulled strength from to help bring their family together and to come through some things that they were struggling with. So I mean, that is their story with it. But I think even if you are not religious, it does not lay into it heavy. I think you still can understand that there's people who seek some things bigger than themselves to try to help them through difficult situations. And I think you can still appreciate the journey that this family took through the movie.
I agree. I think it can appeal to wide audiences, not just specific, small, niche
But I will say I almost want to watch it again after hearing that criticism video that I heard of it on the focus that they felt that the movie took on it, and just kind of watch it again. I'm not saying it would change my mind with it, but sometimes it is interesting to hear somebody else's point of view, because sometimes that have experienced things in their lives that I have not, and I can kind of take in what they thought. Maybe I won't still agree with them after the end of it, but it might take a little different spin when I watch it the next time.
I want to add a thought to that.
Yeah, go.
That part of me, the very cynical part of me, wonders if that criticism is based more on just the fact that Zachary Levi is involved more than, and they're just looking for some sort of, because he's gotten some people pretty upset.
Yeah.
And so maybe that's just like their way of trying to kind of be snarky about a movie he's in.
Well, even with this one, I think he laid pretty heavy to get this finally released. Like we were talking about, this was shelved for a while.
Yeah,
and I think
the kid's he's big now, and I was like, wow, he really grew in a year. Because I was thinking they filmed it last year, but no, it was almost 5 years ago.
But I think they shelved it, and I think he really put it to some people to try to get this back, to get this actually released and out. And what was interesting too, so we were talking about different movie theaters. So the ones that I have around me now, because everything else closed, is Marcus Theaters. And before the movie, they actually had a little clip, and it had the real Ozman, the boy, and his father, and
cool.
Zachary Levi, and I'm blanking on the guy's name, but the guy who owns or runs the president of Marcus Theaters. I'm blanking on his name right now. But apparently, the Ozman, that son, he works for one of their theaters.
Oh,
today.
That's so funny. That's cool. That's why we did that.
Yeah. So they were kind of introducing he's a great employee that we love having him around and enjoying. And they kind of talked about that a little bit before going into the movie, but which is funny. I saw it one time before on a different movie I went into. But then they had that right before this mystery movie that you didn't know that.
I wish they'd
was
shown that in my theater, but they didn't, because I was at a Cinemark.
Yeah.
So.
But it was interesting. So he's actually an employee of that.
Yeah, that's cool.
That movie chain.
Oh. Cool.
Where are you located, man?
I'm in Iowa. In the middle of nowhere, where you fly over and wonder what's underneath you.
I have family that lives in Iowa. Actually, I have relatives there. And to connect that, actually, I was going to ask a question, because one of my nephews has that brittle bones disease. And I watched him grow up with dealing with that. My question in the movie, in regards to the movie, is, does that character get around in a wheelchair a lot?
No.
Mm-mm.
Well, my nephew did.
Yeah.
He's wearing
braces and casts and things like that, and even like
that's
a full
accurate.
chest cast at one time.
That's accurate.
Yeah.
I saw my nephew have that, and the many surgical scars that he carries with him today.
Well, and I think that was some of the thing, that the weight that especially the father was having, where he was trying to do fun things with his son.
Yeah.
And there would just be like, you'd look away for a moment and then you'd bump them or whatever, and they'd fall and
bumps into him, and
and there was this constant guilt of like, I caused this, here's another run to the emergency room, and I caused this, and I could see, as a father, the last thing you want to do is see your children
especially when there's a point that the wife kind of uses that against him too. That was such a dagger in the heart moment. I was like, wow, woman, you would be complaining if he wasn't spending time with him and doing stuff with him. And then when he does and enacts it, and it's not like he did it on purpose. It's just, oh, yeah.
So I say that dug at me a lot, but I can understand there's times we're all human. And there's times where if you're a couple, a married couple like that, and you're dealing with things like that.
It's instinctive to lash out. Yeah.
You both are frustrated and hurt. That's
scared.
The knee-jerk reaction. Scared, like you're going to throw some blame out or lash out or something. That's just like so my initial reaction, I had a not friendly thought come through my head about her at one point.
Did I.
But then I was like, okay, step back and think about if you were on that side of it. I think she regretted it and came back around for some.
Yeah, this
things
wasn't
that
a
she said,
constant
too.
issue
No,
with her
no,
for
no,
sure. But
no.
yeah, that was a pretty low moment, I thought, for her
No, I
as a
thought so.
wife.
Yep.
But yeah, enjoyable overall. I do recommend it if you like those types of movies. And even if you don't, I think there's something to be enjoyed by watching it.
It's a good feel-good story. I mean, there's some feels and there's ups and downs with this. So there's sad and happy moments through the thing. So it definitely takes you through the the roller coaster of emotions through the movie.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's it.
I was going to say, I can be quiet after that.
We're done.
Feel like I talk too much.
So it's a thumbs up from both of you.
Yeah,
I had a good
would
time
give it a
with
thumbs up
Yeah.
for sure.
I had a good time with it.
Cool. Nice. Hello to DJ Plain Ice, who has joined us here in the chat. Let me see. He is here. Horace Nance.
Hey, Thaddeus here. That's awesome.
I think she misheard when we said Ezra for Azrael, and she said Azrael was Snooze Fest.
No.
She's still right,
Totally
because that
different
movie is a Snooze Fest. So she's not wrong.
Talking about good YouTube names, right there. That one jumps out at me when I see her name pop up.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's
okay. It's okay. Adrian James, a new name to my chat. Hello, sir.
Hey,
Good to see
Adrian,
you.
another friend from the UK.
Wow.
Oh, right on. Very late in the UK. Thank you all for being here this evening. All right. So on to our next movie. And Kyle and Paul are going to take this one over because this is the film that they saw.
Do you have the poster by any chance?
I do.
Amazing. Yeah. So
I have the summary on IMDb that I'll read out for the audience. Engaged in a mysterious relationship with her dead best friend from the army, a female Afghanistan veteran comes head-to-head with her Vietnam vet grandfather at the family's ancestral lake house. That's true. That is accurate.
It's so much more than that, though. It's so much more than that. Yeah, I mean, obviously it's a mystery movie night, so I went in blind to this. I hadn't seen any trailers. This is something I love seeing when the filmmaker comes out and says, like, hey, thank you for coming to see my movie. Like, it started with Tom Cruise and Top Gun Maverick, where he was like thanking the audience. Martin Scorsese thanked the audience for Killers of the Flower Moon. It's nice to see movie directors do that.
You forgot Neve Campbell and Courtney Cox for Scream 6. They did that too.
No.
I haven't seen Scream 6. But
joking, man. They're just jumping on the bandwagon. That's all.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think it shows respect for the audience. And
it does when it's genuine, when it comes across.
When it's genuine, yeah. And which in this one, it absolutely fucking was.
Scream 6 was an example of bandwagon. The actors they're being told what to do.
Yeah.
It's part of marketing.
And so in the beginning, like we see that they're, I mean, it was a very sweet thing. Like when they're trying to get the iPod going in the Humvee, and then, it flashes forward because there's a lot of flashbacks back to their time in Afghanistan. And then you get to go see the first group therapy session with actually all the side characters were all actual veterans, which was really, really nice touch. And I thought it was like that. And then at the end, you see them all. But it was like a big shock when, Morgan Freeman leads the group therapy. And what is the?
It was always excellent, by the way. There's one scene where he delivers. It's a semi monologue, but it's still also an exchange as well. But he has a moment where he just goes on for a minute or two.
Yeah.
And it's just a reminder that this guy is just a master at acting, and he's just just the type of actor that when they're on screen delivering that performance, they hypnotize you.
Yeah.
And he's one of those actors that's able to do that.
But all the actors in this movie do a spectacular job. I never even heard of Sonequa Martin Green, who plays the main character Merritt.
You haven't?
No.
Isn't she the chick who played in The Walking Dead?
I never watched The Walking Dead.
And Star Trek Discovery.
Yeah, and I had never watched that.
Oh, okay.
And so so the first group therapy session, Natalie Morales' character, she was actually really good in this too.
I disagree.
Zoe, she starts like, oh well, group therapy
skate path.
Well, no, but just she starts saying, snickering like, oh, group therapy's bullshit, and you see Merritt say shh, like, and then Morgan Freeman's like, the fuck, and then you realize that she's
the trailer gives that away.
Yeah, and
the movie doesn't hide it. It starts off pretty quickly, so she is seeing, and I don't like how I've read like one or two articles that said that she's seeing the ghost of her. No, it's not. It's a hallucination. It's not a ghost.
PTSD.
And it's clarified. There's no ambiguity when you cite at the end that she states, she says there's a differentiation. She should say that. She says the line when she's reaching her cathartic moment that she says, well, Zoe would have done yada, yada, yada. Speaking to the hallucination of Zoe. So she's differentiating that. She knows, and she's always known that this is a hallucination. This is not a fucking ghost.
Right. Yeah. Anyway. And at that moment, I was like, oh, fuck. Because, I mean, full disclosure, and me and Kyle have talked about this at length now. I do have a friend that passed away last year because of exactly this and his time in Iraq.
Hey, Deleted, can we get the full view of ourselves? So, because I want to be able to see people better and listen to what you were saying, Paul, because I was actually going to ask you if you could bring that up. So please go.
Yeah. So, I mean, so it's funny. I was thinking about it and I'm tearing up again. But the whole point of the movie was to get veterans to talk. And what happened to my friend is that he wouldn't. And then something tragic happened. So, I'll open up like, hey, Captain Brad Beaumont, U.S. Army Ranger, company commander, like fucking awesome guy. And the whole movie I was going, if only Brad went to therapy. If only. And this movie hits so close to home because this only happened last year. Like, I'm only a year out from when this happened.
Still raw.
And so, like, I was trying to hide. Like, in the beginning, I was like, oh, God, okay. And my girlfriend's sitting next to me, like, she didn't notice. But then at the end, when then they're like, okay, X number of veterans. How do I say it without getting blocked or shadow banned on YouTube? But also
people use euphemistic words.
Unalived
or self-deletion.
Themselves.
Yeah, I don't like that because I don't like it. I don't know. I feel disrespectful.
It feels like it cheapens it. I know.
Well, it takes away from the weight.
Right.
And so
that's the way they get around
it. Yeah, and when
the reality of it,
when they said how many this happens to, like, I was just like, I covered my face and I was crying like a little bitch. It hit so close to home.
Doesn't seem real.
It doesn't.
7 or 8 or so years ago, there was something that went viral. Is it 21 push-up challenge? I did that for a month or something in 2016 or 2015, and I was working on Chicago PD at the time, and I was posting the videos of me in various locations The 21 push-ups represented the 21 veterans per day that commit suicide. And it's just thinking about that is crazy.
Yeah.
And what's the good news here is that in the credit chyron, it states that it's diminished since 2019.
Yeah.
That number, that statistic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Unfortunately not for my friend.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, the entire movie I was going, if only. I I walked out of the theater and I'm like, before the movie was even over, I was like, this movie's fucking excellent. Phenomenal. I saw nothing wrong with it. Like all compassionate acting all around. I wanted to shout out to so one of the main points in the film was Merritt's grandfather Dale, who's played by Ed Harris, is diagnosed with dementia. So that's another aspect of this, and he's also a Vietnam veteran. And so the mother, played by Gloria Rubin of Time Cop fame, wants to put her dad into a home that's run by the character Alex, played by Utkarsh Ambudkar.
It's a hard name.
It's a hard name, but he is effing on. I've seen him in other stuff, and I really like him.
Yeah, he's got a natural charisma in the movie.
Yeah, he's
doing that kind of comic relief type of character. But he's not overdoing it too much, and he's more subtle about it, which is, thankfully, he did that well. I'll get to my other criticism of the other actress when we get to that point. Yeah.
I'd love to hear it
right now. Okay, yeah. So Natalie Morales is playing Zoe, the title character, and she's not a ghost. Again, she's a hallucination. So she's a figment, a creation of Merritt's mind, or a facsimile of what she remembers of her friend. Now, the way that Morales plays it is based off of the script and what the director wanted, who wrote and directed the film. I don't have his name in front of me. Kyle Hausman Stokes. And he wrote it and he directs her, yada, yada. The way that Morales is playing the character is too much like a manic pixie dream girl. It's too uppity, and I got these wisecracking jokes, and let's do this and let's do that, and she's hopping around, because at the beginning of the film the tonality is kind of meandering. It doesn't find its footing. The movie doesn't find its footing until a little bit before halfway, because you have these scenes of them bantering back and forth, flashbacks, and also present tense with the hallucination version of Zoe. And it kind of doesn't go anywhere until we get to Ed Harris's character, Dale, the grandfather's cabin. Then the story starts to pick up, and then there's actually a story happening here. Because prior to that, it's just kind of her dealing with, I'm making halfway efforts to go to therapy, with Morgan Freeman being the leader of the group. And she needs to sign. It goes very quickly in terms of why does she have to go to this group therapy? There's a throwaway line in the scene that Morgan Freeman shines in. He says that she had a workplace accident where she was operating a forklift and a pallet fell on somebody. And then it begs the question of, okay, so there were criminal charges thrown at her about that? Like, was there a
Yeah, the
lawsuit?
movie never really goes into that.
It's very vague, and it just made me think of what are the logistics and legal aspects of that, because
it was court-ordered therapy for her.
Court-ordered based off of what would indicate to a judge that a workplace accident would have to make her go to a VA group therapy.
Yeah.
A veterans group therapy. I don't understand that. Because workplace accidents there would have to be a specific reason. If she's having hallucinations, then okay, so something's going on here that we, so some of the details there are not clarified, and that might be a script issue. But that's just me, digging a little deeper in terms of what the script quality is. But back to Morales as that character portraying it and the way it's written, it's too fanciful and kind of annoying the way that her character is written, and she does behave differently in the flashbacks in Afghanistan. She's more real, and it's still a little bit of a Manic Pixie Dream Girl with the whole singing to Umbrella in the car, and they do return to that. They pick up that a lot, and in fact, someone in the theater behind us, me and Megan, was groaning every time that song came on. So
honestly,
some guy in Texas really fucking hates Umbrella.
So I don't know. It was good for me, but so the one thing I want to push back on with Zoe and Natalie Morales, and she's gonna kill me if I don't give her credit. My girlfriend has impeccable attention to detail. I didn't notice this when I was watching the movie, but anytime that Zoe, either the hallucination or the real one, was on screen, and especially the hallucination with glow sticks, she would fuck something up for Merritt. And at the end of the movie, you see Zoe have her. I don't want to classify it as a psychotic break, where she goes out with the 2 glow sticks beyond the perimeter
of the patrol
when there's like an active sniper. So I think that that was a good juxtaposition. Shout out to my girlfriend for noticing that little detail. But every single time that something's screwed up while the hallucination was there, she was holding glow sticks.
She would crack it and then
yeah. Whether that's when Merritt's having the drink with the guy in the bar, with the garbage cans.
And that scene in the bar where and this happens sporadically throughout, she has moments of panic attacks, essentially, which are mostly well conveyed. I think the best version of that does happen in the bar, where it almost plays like a horror film. And the way the camera, every instance in the film has quick shots, cutaways to something from the past, and even some random shots, which is a good representation of what PTSD does. And but most of all, it leans into, in that scene, a horror aspect, to where the camera zooms in on a version of Zoe. And correct me if I'm wrong, Paul, but she had a bloody mouth and she was screaming at one point. So but that doesn't
occur in Afghanistan.
It doesn't occur in Afghanistan. She has the military garb on when that happens in the scene in the hallucination, but that's not how she went. That's not how she passed. Right.
He passed,
which is actually a little tricky when you think about it, man. It's a little deceiving, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it doesn't make sense within the context of her having that, because that's not, she knows how Zoe went
at that point in the movie, but that's like a harbinger of what's to come, because they don't, at the end of the movie, they don't actually show the actual.
They don't, and I think they do a disservice with that character, because it goes to black while you see a montage, because we're in spoilers, in order for us to really talk about this, we really need to get into it. They do a montage leading up to when she offed herself, and It's not in military. It's after they came back from Afghanistan, and there was
that's
a
the whole point
promise.
of the movie. It's all the people that come back.
Correct, as it should be, and it's right. So there's so Zoe promises, or no, Merritt promises Zoe that she'll be there for her, and then most of all, it was your life isn't over, even though because that conversation led to that point because Zoe put herself outside the military parameter zone and opened the gate, so she's waving her arms like she's not saying kill me, but so that she's essentially doing that, right? By putting herself in harm's way of possibly being killed by the enemy.
Yeah, and so like,
but Merritt brings her back to sanity and says, "Your life isn't over. When you get back, things are going to get better." Right. When they do get back, and they rush through this kind of quickly, and that's a little bit of a criticism, is they do a montage of Zoe
trying to call Mary,
right? And she's drinking, and you can sense some of the low budget nature where you're not seeing a lot of her days. It's kind of just we're seeing just shots of her spending time on a couch, maybe in a garage.
Yeah,
and drinking, playing video games, fast food, junk food, yada yada.
Yeah,
and I'm sure that's true, right? That true to life of how people deal with depression, etc.
Yeah.
One thing that was mostly not clear was why did Merritt not pick up the phone?
She was out with her friends, like
I know, but
yeah. I mean, but that's one of those things. Like
maybe she was wanting to forget that time of her life.
Well, no, I think so. Yeah, but that's one.
Megan had a theory. She said it was because Zoe relied too much on Merritt.
Well, that's because Zoe had no one, and as she said, "Hey, I have nothing to go back to." Mm-hmm. Unlike you have family. I have nothing.
It's kind of vague, though, isn't it? Like, did we find out what her backstory is? Why does Zoe have no one?
I'm not sure. Right? It just seems like she chose the army to like just get away and find community and family.
Well, this is the thing, dude, is you could have taken the scenes that I think are fat in the film of them just bantering, because let's face it, there are scenes of them just bantering back and forth of random shit that they're chicks talking to each other.
College and
you could have taken that room and put scenes in there that showed, not just explained, but maybe a combination of the two, a bit more of Zoe.
Yeah.
And you have, like I said, the criticism is that, and also the dialogue back and forth between Zoe and Merritt when she's a hallucination of just cracking jokes between each other or trying to have a good time. And it's just, okay, you have a little bit of that, but I think the film is oversaturated too much with the hallucination of Zoe. I think you should have had more scenes of her not there and then coming unexpectedly in and out of her life. I think that would have made the character more impressionable, and they could have leaned into in the third act or around the third act when she starts being a little mean to her. And at one point she calls Merritt a coward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that, I think it was a perfect balance of how many times she came in and how often it happened. Just because what I saw with my friend, like he would go off a lot.
In what way?
It'd be like just staring off into space and like not paying attention, or like going like this, or
just randomly.
Yeah. I mean, so my friend had a different experience. Like it wasn't what was in the film. So essentially, like when we were over there, and this is like a for real thing, you can Google it, the burn pits, and I know I discussed this with you, Kyle, but for those who don't know, we were trying to find weapons of mass destruction. That was bullshit. But whenever we found any precursor chemicals, we would just dig pits and burn them. We would just burn random shit in the middle of the desert. And these soldiers, including my friend, would stand around guarding these pit fires, essentially, breathing in all the fumes. Like he had like skin lesions that the guys like the doctors had something called grand rounds, which basically like the entire hospital analyzes one patient, like, hey, what's going on? He was part of that, and they couldn't figure out what the hell was causing his skin lesions. Probably with those fumes, it ended up messing with his brain chemistry. And so, yeah, I mean, my friend is a lot more visceral in the movie. But one other thing that I appreciated, so the director came out and he's like, yeah, this happened to me. I was there, and my friend passed away. The Ramirez guy was sorry. So the real life Zoe was male, whereas in the movie it was Zoe. Yeah,
there are two guys.
Yeah. Which I actually appreciate. I think it worked better having the characters be women, because I also know somebody who was like a communications officer in like the tanks. I went to undergrad with this girl. And, you know, she'd be the one to be like, oh, we need fucking air support now in the tank. And so it was nice to be able to have that portrayal of women in the military, because you don't really see that portrayed very often in other movies.
It was a thought that I had of why did he change? I mean, right off the bat, in the first message of the movie, when he comes on screen, he says, this is a movie based on my own life. It's autobiographical. And then I see that it's about women. The question then becomes, well, why did he switch sexes?
It could be, and I'd have to like look into the numbers and the statistics. It could be that women veterans do that more at a higher clip than men.
Do they really?
I'm not sure.
I want to say probably not.
I'd say I'm not gonna argue.
I'd say it's probably more heavily skewed in the men's side.
Well, because men are the majority. That's
not just that, but a lot of times there's this pressure on men not to be weak. You know what I mean? And so they don't have a support system that a whole lot of that I think a lot of women are probably more open to you know, using. Hey, Clue. Thanks for stopping.
And they address that a bit in a good scene, very solid scene on a boat between her grandfather, Ed Harris, about sucking it up. You know?
Yeah, exactly. Ed Harris, who was a Vietnam veteran, said, "Hey, we didn't have that." And
fantastic throwback. So he tells a brief story about the difference of how the veterans of today are welcome back versus how he was welcome back, and how he was spit on. Some of these instances they're really powerful moments, and I don't want to say unfortunate that you don't see it, but it's powerful enough, even just in dialogue, where you can just picture him when it's brief enough and have brevity to it, and it hits like a punch. You're not overly extending a story, and it's not an overly long monologue.
No, but
it is powerful and impressionable. It's just, hey, audience, listen to those, and especially younger people who don't know about this.
Yeah.
Listen to what happened in the past.
Exactly. And the fact that Ed Harris told that story of, hey, I had to change in the bathroom because people were spitting on me, but they still spit on me. They knew because of my duffel bag. I just got a little factoid text delivered. Thank you. Saying statistically more men complete the act, but more women attempt it.
I think it's the way, it's not to get down to that, but it's the way the men approach that act compared.
The men are probably much more decisive, and the women maybe not necessarily really wanting to, so being a little bit half-hearted about it.
Or just that's a way of crying out for help too.
Yeah,
sometimes.
it's true. That too, exactly.
And not saying it in a bad way, but it's just they don't have any other options. Like what they don't know how another way to try to ask for help or to try to get help. And
you're saying men are less apt to ask for help?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, because of the societal pressures that I think a lot of men feel.
Well, I mean, that's just me growing up. I've never been into that situation, so I'm not trying to compare myself to that whatsoever. So please don't just go. But just growing up on a rural farm, you know, with my dad and my older brother and things, it's kind of like you said earlier, suck it up. Like men, you suck it up. You know, like it hurts. You don't feel good. Suck it up. Like just keep going. And I think there's a sign of weakness that we're taught not to acknowledge for asking for help. And that's not a sign of weakness. That's a strength. I mean, it's to say, I need help with something and to be able to get through something. But I think that's just something we kind of grew up with.
Exactly the story in The Unbreakable Boy.
Yeah.
Kind of, what was going on with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my friend was like, you guys see my little Captain America painting, but like I knew Captain America, like personally. Like Brad was like fucking jacked. Like I would never, ever in a million years try to start a fight with him. Like he was like real life Steve Rogers in look and everything. And so maybe the way that people looked up to him because of that made him not want to reach out. I don't know. It's something I'll never find out. But
well, I'll tell you, not to pull too much off of this, but my son right now is in the Air Force, and he did a 6-month stint of doing the honor guard, where they would do, the gun salute, the folding of flags at funerals. And I honestly, I thought like most of the time it would be like, oh, it's somebody in the line of fire or retired, just dying of natural causes. But more and more when I talked to him when he was doing that, it was amazing how many. Maybe it's not amazing, but it was eye-opening to me how many that were young men and women that were not far off from his age, and it was not a military situation where that happened, to kind of put it that way. There was a lot of them that were that way. And I don't know. It's eye-opening when you start hearing those stories and those things coming.
But the whole point of the movie is to get people to open up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I was, it's not my place to say, like my friend has a wife and kid. And I don't know, for a year, I haven't been able to really like open up about it. I mean, I did with Kyle, during our fire pit night.
Yeah, we were talking about Green Zone, and that opened up the conversation.
Yeah.
And this is what's great about films and movies in general, guys. It's able to crack us open a little bit in situations and unite us in a way, and then be able to start a dialogue about something.
Yeah.
And those are one of the things that is really beneficial about movies, that otherwise, if it wasn't there, it would be a lot harder for people.
Yeah.
So that is probably, it is the biggest important thing and positive about the film, is to know that these people are still out there and they're struggling, and we need to be diligent about, the people that we elect who decide to send people to war.
Yeah.
Because they are creating situations.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
that create situations for men and women that deal with PTSD.
3 major conflagrations: Vietnam, Iraq 1 and 2, and Afghanistan, were completely fucking useless. Like there was no purpose to it whatsoever, other than like, I don't know, Halliburton making money. Anybody who knows me knows I'm like supremely anti-war. So yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right, Kyle. Like, we have to elect people that don't want to continue this shit, essentially.
There's a lot of money to be made in it. So
right. And, you know, guess who the grand architects of all that, 25 years ago were? Yeah, the Bush family owned all the oil, and Dick Cheney was the former CEO of Halliburton. So, you know, where follow the money. So yeah, like, we just have to elect leaders that say enough of this shit. Like, we are not getting into wars. We're gonna talk things out with our adversaries.
We don't need to be policemen of the world.
No.
And I simmer down, because people are just wrong sometimes, and they get things wrong. But the people that criticize what Trump is doing by talking to foreign leaders like Putin, and they say how he's collaborating with them, or he's friends with them, and he's colluding with them, and I try to resist the urge to say you're a fucking moron or fuck off, because that is a principle. Talk with your foreign countries. These foreign
diplomacy.
Exactly, diplomacy. This is a principle from the founding fathers that started the United States of America. Be friends with countries, trade with them. He's doing that. Trump is doing that. He in his last administration, he even did something that no one else did, right? He went to North Korea and shook the hands of their leader, we know who he is and what he is. But the alternative, to be combative, results in people going to war, casualties on the battlefield, and then at home as well.
Right.
That's what we see the film is showing.
Yeah.
And it does need to stop. We need to have a strong military for the defense of the country, particularly protecting our own borders, right? And that's really the ideal scenario. You don't want to send men and women overseas to fight wars that we don't avoid, that are unneeded.
Yeah.
There are only rare exceptions throughout history of when it's necessary to do this.
World War II was the last exception I can think of.
Right. And even then there's some, debate there, I've heard. But yeah, what the majority of the populace has an influence in this.
Yeah.
And what this happens because you elect the people that decide this.
Yeah.
And I said something in my post recently of this is on IG. I said it's really a change of pace and an amazing feeling to see a leader that you can be glad to have or be proud of.
Yeah.
And we haven't had that in this century when you think about it.
Not this century. I mean, we started from the very worst W, So no, we have to.
Reagan, JFK, those are the last presidents.
I think JFK is the last good president. I'm a huge Eisenhower.
He was killed because he refused to go to war.
Yeah,
he didn't want to go into Vietnam. Connects us to some of these characters and my dead friend Zoe.
Yeah.
Those characters wouldn't have existed, or their situations or their experience of going to Vietnam wouldn't have existed if JFK had not been assassinated.
Correct. Yeah. And I've got my little conspiracy theory that his son was assassinated because he was trying to run for president in 2000 or 2004, and he wouldn't have wanted to go into Iraq or Afghanistan. And well, yeah, that's my little personal conspiracy theory.
Mm-hmm. We could go even
but how many
further.
I tell you, that's a rabbit hole. I hear enough of that stuff from my mother.
We can go. We want to go into the coups that sparked the reason and the excuses for why to go into the war.
Well, I'd say
and overseas in the Middle East.
I was going to say from that movie though, I really want to see that one. and definitely, I know it's gonna be a hard watch, but I definitely want to watch that.
Yeah.
I'd say no, irregardless of political anything, take care of your men and women that are serving your country. They're putting themselves in harm's way.
Fund
Fund
the
VA. You take care of those men and women that are doing that, because they're in harm's way, and they go whether they believe in it or not. If they're told that's what they're going to do, that's what they're going to do. So
the VA should be the best hospital system in the world.
Should be.
Yeah. But yeah, take care of them. And then also just taking some things from that too, from what you're saying of this movie, what I'm gathering from it is just look at your personal health and don't think of it as a weakness if you got to ask for help or ask for assistance or need somebody to talk to. I think so many times, men or women, it's looked down on if you got to reach out for some help, and it's not. That's showing some strength where where you've hit a limit and you need some help to get over that hurdle. And
it's important to have movies exactly like this, where the prime message is to, hey, reach out for help.
Yeah.
And also to encourage sympathy in those who don't understand those sorts of struggles that others are having.
Yeah.
There's been a process ever since Vietnam where people were actually spitting on these soldiers because they didn't understand the differentiation of the corrupt politicians that sent them over there,
right?
That they should have been spitting on, not the soldier. So that's changed over the few decades since then, and we now, generally speaking, do have a respect for the soldier. Now we're at the point where they need to be taken care of, and we need to not send them over to frivolous wars.
Yeah.
So, without a thought of whether that should be happening or not.
Yeah, and hold the leaders accountable. I very, 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 very briefly got to meet W, and it took every ounce of my energy not to call him a fucking war criminal. It was not the right venue to say hey buddy, you're a fucking asshole.
But that's the thing is it's not all on him, because just like Biden, he was a puppet unto himself as well.
There's a lot of you have to follow the money, essentially.
Indeed.
I don't think most people. I could go on about taxes. I think the entire system needs.
Well.
And it's happening, and that's what's glorious.
Deleted has to interrupt us. He needs to take off.
And welcome to part 2 of my unscripted from last Sunday, which went over some of these same topics. Okay. I do have to, as much as I love this conversation, gentlemen, I do need to, and lady, I do need to start wrapping up because my next stream is about ready to start. So we're going to go around the horn. Corey, what do you have coming up?
I don't have a ton on my channel right now. I got of course, thank you. I'm going to say again, thanks for having me back on. I really had a lot of fun hanging out with you before and this tonight too. So I appreciate it very much. I'm going to be, Paul, you got a stream. You might be talking about that coming up on Thursday that I'm going to be jumping in on as well. So Thirsty Thursday. I'm looking forward to that. Sounds like my kind of stream. I got a couple other friends jumping on their streams, but yeah, I'll try to post on my page when I got other things coming up, but yeah, just hanging out, getting on live streams and, having a lot of fun with it. So I had a good time tonight. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you for joining us.
I'm done talking now.
Make me small now. Make me small.
Take my face off the screen.
Right. Oh, here we go. Right, Lord,
Sid.
I hate this part. Okay, so I did a review for the Unbreakable Boy. I'll try to put that up in the next couple days. I'm going to be on Paul's stream on Thursday. I'm going to go see The Monkey on Friday. Hopefully get a review up for that. That's the only thing I have in the immediate. Make me small. Deleted.
if StreamYard will allow me. Yes.
Are you doing that on purpose?
Here we go.
I'm going to threaten violence for real.
Oh,
you already hit me with the car. Oh.
Well, yeah. So I just put out my review of Captain America: Brave New World. Everybody should go check it out. And I will be on my own live stream Thirsty Thursdays this Thursday, February 20th at 7 p.m. And I will be putting out. I need to spend a little bit of time to do my review of my dead friend Zoe. Because it's just essentially so close to my heart. This movie hit me very, very hard, and so I want to do it justice, and I also want to do my friend justice. So I think it just deserves a little bit of extra care in how I present it. So probably aiming to have that review out by Tuesday, which is still ahead of the film's release. At the end of next week, the February 28th. And everybody should go check out My Dead Friend Zoe. The movie was absolutely phenomenal. Yeah. Bye.
Stop it. Take it away. I just released a video for the first time I watched Godfather happened, and I sat down with actor and good friend Benjamin J. Slack for a fireside chat edition of my impromptu view series. We're going to do a follow-up for Godfather Part 2. We're going to do a sit-down pretty soon, but please check out go ahead and check out the Godfather video and give it hit the like button. And if you don't like it, you can do a thumbs down. It means that you watched it, right? So, and you're being honest. And on Thursday, we're going to have a gay old time. Come join us. Now you can stop it.
Yep. Trying to. All right, here we go. It's me. I'm back again. All right. I would like to start by thanking everyone who was here. We had 54 people watching at one point. I appreciate that. I want to thank everyone who joined us on X. I can't see you, but I know you're there. I do want to say hello to some people who joined us late in the show. She Marlo Scott, Hortensia, FKHC 2005, my partner in crime, the toxic gunslinger, the man who cannot be killed, Outlaw Bill. Let's see, our Jurassic Chaos. Last call with Troy Pacelli. He's probably wondering where I am right now. Cello.
Sorry, Troy.
Sorry, Troy. I do want to thank Nate for the $5 super chat. He said, my dad used to say a strong man, it's strong enough to ask for help when it is needed. All right. Thank you, Nate, for the super chat. All right. Well, I am going to be joining Bill this Thursday for Action Theater, and we are going to be watching John Woo's Broken Arrow from 1996.
Great movie.
It is. And let's see. Hold on. Let me pull my schedule back up here. Live television, folks. All right. I am also going to be joining Bill this Sunday for Western Cinema. And we are going to be watching Winchester 73 with Jimmy Stewart. And then, of course, stay tuned later that night. If all goes well, episode 100 of Unscripted. So join us there. And, of course, because Bill has already posted it, Action Theater on the 27th is going to be Hard Rain. Ooh. With Christian Slater and Morgan Freeman.
Hell yeah.
So, and written by the same fellow who wrote Broken Arrow. So check that out. Yeah, Nate, it is an underappreciated movie. I agree. I have a lot of fun with that one. I'm not sure I said hello, but hello to the Clue Studio. Thank you for joining us. All right, we're going to start wrapping things up here. I do want to remind everyone on my channel, Live from Sparkwood in 21 will be beginning shortly. So stay here, stay on my channel, and we'll head on over there, and we will discuss. And the topic is basically going to be what is the future of the show in general, and where we're going to be going, what we're going to be doing in the next few weeks. So join us over there.
Hey, Deleted, I want to say congrats about your 5K you crossed over 5K subs.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, nice.
I've been very lucky with this channel, and with all of you who, support my channel and who, just come on to. Yes, you're here, Enigma. Yeah. And if you had told me a few years ago that I was going to have a YouTube channel, let alone 5,000 people watching, I would be like, I would have thought you were out of your mind. But I have found a home here, and I found a whole new family, and that includes the people who are on the panel with me here tonight, who took the time out of their evening to come and do what I like to do best, which is discuss movies, and before I just get all misty, I'm sorry. I'm okay. I'm fine.
These breakdowns happen from time to time.
And scene. Okay. Now I have to put on my readers because you're all very blurry. Okay. All right. And well, join us back here next week because we have a movie next Monday night as well. Woo-hoo. So I think the consensus is that we think next week's movie is going to be Last Breath. Anybody have any other guesses or?
No,
yeah.
that makes sense.
We all have the mystery movie night, right? Like,
yes, I definitely do. Regal has it. I'm assuming AMC as well. Is it in your area, Corey?
Marcus has it says PG-13.
Yep, so is ours PG-13.
Okay.
So I have a feeling it's going to be I think it's going to be the same thing.
Well,
for all of us.
Just because I didn't have the movie night in my area this week, unfortunately. So what I did was I followed the Latino Slant's advice, and I went to go see Chhaava, which is basically like the Indian Braveheart. Outstanding film.
So highly recommend.
Great music from A.R. Rahman. Highly recommend. It's got one of the best battle scenes in it that I have ever seen in any movie. It's pretty fantastic. So check it out. If you can find it at your local theater, because it's out there. How long, I don't know. But I went last night because I knew that was going to be my only chance. So, all right. So all around, I think we had a pretty good weekend from the sounds of it.
Yeah.
I definitely want to check Unbreakable Boy and my dead friend Zoe out now. So, yeah. And of course, we got next week's movie. So, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. Let's see. Media assets are not working. So I'm just going to do a hard out. Any last words from anybody on the panel before we wrap it up?
Polly's...
Stay classy, San Diego.
At first I thought Polly was talking about Corey, but I think he's talking about Deleted.
Maybe he is talking about me.
I think he's talking about Deleted.
I get paranoid when I hear comments about the bearded guy anymore.
We got three dudes with a beard, technically.
This is pretty new for me, so I don't know. I get paranoid now when I hear bearded comments. But.
Yeah, and thank you once again, Polly, for that review on Chhaava. That made me want to go see the movie. So I went to go see it last night. You were right about everything that you said. Thumbs up for me on that one. So
if it's still in my area after the storm passes, I'll try to go see it as well.
Indeed.
So, fingers crossed.
All right. All right. StreamYard is not letting me do the closing music, so we're going to do a hard out. Hello to of movies. We're about to wrap it up. Thank you. And it says, I'm so glad it's such an incredible epic, indeed. All right. As I always say at the end of every show, from HQ in all points, north, south, east, west, and beyond, good night. Take care. Stay strong. Be safe and healthy, because this is how we win.
Bye, everybody.